Hi there. Thank you for joining us on today's episode of the Green Living Chat, brought to you by Ecoamet Solutions Ghana. I'm your host, David Ewusimensa. Today, we bring you part 2 of our discussions with the CEO of Positive, Niels de Fraguier. Niels and his team at Positive have created a community of changemaker businesses empowering a regenerative economy. So in our earlier discussion, we did talk about his journey in creating Positive and his keen interest in supporting the youth about regenerative economy and sustainability. So I recommend that you check this episode out before we dive into today's discussion. We continue our discussion today with Niels talking about the impact of COVID-19 on the environment. He shares his thoughts on the lessons COVID has taught us and the changes we need to make after COVID, socially and environmentally, to improve the living standards of people. But before we get into today's discussion, Ecoamet brings you my environmental concern blogs. This is a platform where we're giving you the opportunity to write your concerns about the environment. So look around and share your thoughts with us on how you think the environmental problems you see around you can be solved. This is the time for us to make our voice heard and also be interactive on how we can change things around us and to push our policymakers and leaders to make suitable policies and laws to suit environmental regeneration and sustainability. So get in touch with us on our social media platforms or visit our website www.ecoametsolutions for more details. Let's get into today's episode. Let's talk about COVID. COVID has been an interesting era. What has COVID taught us?
I think there are two points of views on that. First one, it's been a disaster in terms of health, in terms of death,
Yeah.
and I'm thinking about all the people that lost their beloved ones. It's been extremely hard. That's the first aspect. But if I'm looking at the big picture, and if I'm looking at the world we want to build and the world we could build, I think it's been a tremendous, and it is a tremendous opportunity to have a clear momentum on what needs to be done. The reason for this pandemic, there's been a lot of studies and research, but you could be part of, could be part of the reason of having pangolins, going into cities and, like getting these viruses and all that. I'm not going to get into science because I'm not an expert in that, but that's the first thing. But if we think about the broader perspective of what COVID has taught us, because I think we've all been educated by COVID, even if I don't like the term education usually, we've all learned that our lives are priceless. Our lives are, are really unstable. I mean, we're on the edge, we're on a cliff. We're about to fall, and we could fall together. And what we've seen with COVID is that every single country in the world was in the same situation. So for sure, it was more difficult in some than others, but everyone was going into a lockdown together. And when you think about wildfires in Australia, when you think about deforestation in Brazil, when you think about droughts in Ghana, for instance, or in other countries, it impacts the local population. It's on the media, it's on the news, but no one will care. Like if I'm in Spain, oh, am I gonna suffer from wildfires in Australia? I'm not. So I can be aware, I can be touched, I can be moved by that, I can be focusing on that, but I'm not going to be impacted by it. And now with COVID, the thing is that we all went into the same boat of challenges. And once again, is this ocean of challenges. We're all in the same boat on this ocean. And we've understood, how important it was to foster solidarity, to help each other, but also to find solutions to create a better world for all. People have been losing their jobs, but their first priority was their health, the health of their families and the people of us. So what I see with COVID is, a need to shift from this old mindset to a new mindset and a new form of business, a new form of well-being, a new form of living. We need to change our habits. We need to change our ways of interacting with each other. We need to You also to share vulnerability. Who are we? Oh, what makes us suffer? What makes us happy? We need to be honest with each other. And I think this has shown us that we're on a path and we have an opportunity, and it's not too late. And I really want to insist on that. It's never too late, and for now, it's not at least. We can make it. We can make this change happening. And if we want to do so, we need to unite. We need to be binded to each other, and we need to support each other. What are the ways to do it? I mean, it can be in your local neighborhood, helping your neighbor doing shopping, or bringing food, cooking for someone. It can be on a higher level, creating a business that is solving an issue and that responds to this COVID crisis. But it can also be in terms of policy making and looking at ways to make policies that respect people resilience, people needs, where we go back to our roots. We are all humans. So how do we make sure that we keep that in mind? Because as human beings, we tend to forget, this is behind us, what's next. But this needs to be deeply rooted into what we do, the way we act. And what I've seen so far is people, building their own initiatives to help each other, building their own
Yeah.
initiatives to solve the climate crisis. People, resigning from their jobs and then looking for jobs with purpose.
Yeah.
I mean, this is so important. There is a shift. So the question now for me is, how do we make sure that we translate all this energy into something concrete, tangible that can impact us and impact the 7 next generations ahead of us? And this is where we are, and this is the real question: is how do we make this change happening? And we've been talking a lot, but how do we take action? How do we practically involve each other, and how do we support each other to make it happening and to make this vision something concrete? But I think the awareness of people about climate breakdown, about the need for more happiness, more well-being has been clearly exposed, clearly shared. So that's the bright side of it. But on the other side, and something that is important to mention, even if I believe in the positive future, we've also seen the response of governments, and the response of governments was pretty disappointing. We've heard about all these economic recovery plans that were supposed to be a green transition, but when you look at it, like I mean, if I look at Europe and my own country, France, for instance, the main sectors that were supported, or a big part of the money that was injected into the economy, was going to transport, to auto companies, plane companies, and this is, we need to inject this money to these companies because it saves jobs, but we need to inject it at the right time and at the right place. So it means like looking at innovation, looking at how we can, really create a new synergy in the industry to make and create the solutions we'll need today and we'll need tomorrow. And I think, these green recovery plans haven't been that green. And I think we really need to look at that and try to understand why, and really find a way to improve that for people to benefit. Because, the choices that are made today are going to impact the people and us in a few years. So trying to make a stitch, on a scarf is not helpful. So once again, looking at the big picture, or do we have this holistic and systemic approach that helps understand our problem and the interconnectedness between these issues?
In all these things that you're talking about, the first thing that came to mind, it's, there is this nice illustration in your manifesto for your company, and it talks about transition from Stone Age to regeneration. The third one is separation. Okay, well, it's from Stone Age to civilization, and separation then to regeneration. You know, I think COVID has actually taken us from this civilization separation side and shown us the gap between the separation and regeneration. What do you think about that? Because we were definitely separated from nature. We kept producing more than we need. When we gave nature the space to breathe, we could just see it very evidently that nature was now regenerating itself in the absence of human activities.
Yeah, we've seen that. I mean, during the lockdown and in so many countries around the world, I mean, we can give a few examples, but like the the canal in Venice, that was super clean. In Paris, there were some deers, coming to the city. In different regions of the world, I mean, we've seen it like
Yeah.
in Australia as well. Like the wildlife was incredible. Like, I mean, so many parts of the world we've seen that when human activity is not, extracting from our planet and from nature live again and regenerate and is able to provide us with so much happiness. And there is so much value on there that we often tend to forget because we are just about extracting resources. We are just about taking whatever we can find, and from whatever we can make profit, we do so. So I think we need to really once again take a step back and look at the big picture, and what are the opportunities, and how to make sure that we translate these opportunities into a resource that benefit people,
Yeah.
planet, and our resources as well, making sure that we can have an income. But it's not necessarily by extracting that you're going to make the best income. I mean, you can have a stable income and a pretty decent one by helping people, by helping the planet to regenerate. So I think, yeah, this connection to nature is something really important. And actually, at Positive, we are inspired by 7 indigenous principles. So really looking at the power of indigenous communities and looking at the way we can learn from them, because they've been living for years into something that was, a relationship that was in symbiosis with nature, and they've made it, and they're happy people, and what we're trying to do now is to destroy their habitat and to kick them out of their fields, kick them out of their villages, of their areas, and it doesn't work. So let's take a breath and let's listen. Let's listen to these people. Let's listen to nature. Let's look at what is happening when human activity doesn't appear and doesn't happen. Um, and let's get inspired. I mean, doing some school teaching exercises in nature, for instance, something that would be amazing and that some organizations are doing. Let's go to nature, let's explore. And as I said at the beginning of this discussion, like for me, it was so important to live in a place where I could go to nature easily. I mean, 10 minutes to go from my place, I could go to the mountains and to the forest. And, this is where I find my energy. This is where I can find my inner self being, who I am, and really understanding my purpose and why I'm doing that, and why I breathe with this vision. So I think this is really important, and I think people have got the chance to touch upon this topic. Now what we need to do is to go further and to go beyond, because touching upon this topic is important, but people need to be given with tools, opportunities, and skills once again, and with concrete actions that they can take. And it's I don't want this to be another disappointment for people, because the climate breakdown is a disappointment for people. They're ashamed. They feel powerless. And what I want to do is to share and spread positive message, positive knowledge, positive solutions that can inspire and show that the solution is just behind the corner. Just
Yeah.
continue walking, feel the power you have into your hands, and continue that way, because this pathway is going to lead to a brighter future if we all go towards the same direction with the same
Yeah.
conviction, the same energy,
Mm-hmm.
and bringing our whole self to this goal. Making sure that wherever we are, wherever we are coming from, whatever our religion is, whatever our background is, we all have something, we all have a piece to bring to this immense, puzzle, and we need to build it together. So let's work together, let's walk the talk, and let's go towards the same direction. And for sure, we're gonna open this door, and when we're gonna open it, it's gonna be like cool
Definitely.
sunshine that's gonna illuminate us and inspire us for even more.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I agree 100%. All right, let's talk about positive base comp. So, what is in for positive members, and what kind of opportunities should they face? I think we've talked a lot about positive and what it's doing, and this COVID and the lesson that they has taught us. So, we want a lot of people to get into this community, and we can all build together. So let's talk about positive base camp. What is in there for people? What are industries to expect when they come into this community of people with common mindset?
So first of all, positive is a movement for changemaker businesses making a positive impact. So any company that is willing to make a positive impact in relation to the compass I've shared with you previously. What we have at positive is that we have three types of memberships. So first one is core members. We look at companies, so SMEs and mid-size mainly. We offer them with a membership, so they have a membership fee that aims to be inclusive, but that can also help us, fund the movement and what we do. So we have a zero pricing, for instance, zero pricing offer for companies that are facing economic hardship to join for free. The only deal is that they have to invite three other companies from the network, but it still means that we want the information to be inclusive, so any single person on this planet that has a business can join and learn, because this is so important. So, we have different tiers depending on the turnover that companies are making. They pay more or less. The entry price point, for companies that make less than 0.25 million a year is £120 a year, which is pretty
Yeah.
cheap and pretty affordable,
Yes, it
for a
is.
company. So this is the first membership. Second one is for ambassadors. So we invite experts. It can be academics, researchers, also experts that are working on on different sectors, such as experts from the
Oh,
IPCC,
great.
for instance, report. So these people can join for free. We ask them to participate in the community and to bring their knowledge and support each other. And then with the ambassadors, we have a second level of membership for consultants. So consultants can come.
Oh,
So we invite consultants depending on their activities. So we always review what they do and what is the impact they're making and what is their willingness to implement a regenerative economy strategy. And then what we ask from them is either to provide our members with discounts or to redistribute some of the money they make and some of the income they make to positive to help the movement grow once again. And then last but not least, the third membership is for allies. So the ally membership is for any other type of organization. It can be foundation, it can be an NGO that are interested to learn, that are interested to share their knowledge, potentially some resources. It can be human resources, it can be funding, whatever they can offer. We have a place for them. And basically, all these three types of members are invited to join the base camp, and the base camp is our online community. So imagine a social media where companies can share the pain points and challenges,
yeah.
where they can share inspirational content. Podcasts, for instance, like yours, could be shared on
Yeah.
there. Movies, books. Then we look also at resources and tools. So at Positive, we'll be creating tools to help our companies work on several topics. But for instance, achieving
Beautiful.
this net zero by 2030 or becoming zero waste. And then we host some of our events. So we have a lab that is called the Alchemy Lab that organize co-creative sessions. So it's all about collective intelligence. You, David, host of the Green Living podcast, come to Positive and say, I'm facing this issue, I need to solve it. Then what we do at the Alchemy Lab is that we say, okay, take a step back, let's look. So what are your challenges? Who is involved? Who are your partners? What do you need? What have been your main achievements? And then we create this global mapping of who you are, what you do. And then we come up with solutions. And these solutions are based on co-creation. So it means that we also invite other companies and other members of the movement to look at your problem and share different perspectives. It can have different cultural perspectives, different industry perspectives, so really looking at that and finding tailor-made solutions. But yeah, the base camp is basically the community for anyone that is willing to make a change, to make a positive impact, and that wants to join Positive. So you have different ways to join. And yeah, these are the three memberships we offer to join the base camp.
This is beautiful. I love the idea. I just love it. You've already talked about how it's being coordinated, but I just want you to hit that point again. How do you coordinate all this? You've already mentioned about, we having a lot of people on board, and if someone comes in with a problem, it's a collective effort. But how is this coordinated, because we have people from different backgrounds, people from different line of work, consultants, researchers. How do we coordinate all this? Do you have like people in this section go to this group, or how is the coordination done?
Yeah, I mean, so far we have 100 founding members, so it's not, too many to coordinate. So we are in charge of the coordination for now, and it's all about kicking off the movement and making sure that there is a dynamic that starts, and it already started. But yeah, it's really about that, and then we want people to self-coordinate themselves. Like this is also about being regenerative. We are not here to tell them what to do. We are here to provide them with the platform to talk. And this is, subtle but super important difference. Is we are not here to teach them, and they are not here to teach others. We are all here to learn, and much to learn from all these companies, and we believe that all these company leaders, employees have also to learn from others. So there is no coordination. It's for sure we're gonna have calls and brainstorming sessions, workshops with different industries, with different sectors. But what we try to achieve is really to do this interconnected, platform where everyone can share, everyone can be part of it, everyone can take the lead. If you, David, are part of the base camp, and tomorrow you want to propose an activity, you propose a webinar, you propose, podcast. Yeah, just go for it. We trust that you want to do good. We believe in your abilities, and we want you to also feel empowered to take it.
This is so good. This is so good. So, how do you see the future now in the next 5, 10 years? Where do you see you and your team at Positive taking this whole initiative to?
Yeah, that's a big question, David. I see the world, like I cannot tell you. I mean, I see a positive world where we can have businesses and governments committing to net zero as soon as possible. I think carbon emissions needs to, the curve of carbon emissions needs to be reversed as soon as we can. And, as soon as we will do it, it will still take time before we go down and, the impact is felt. So that's how I see the world. And I would like to see more solidarity and, people, really supporting each other, because this is the only way we're going to make it. And, I always say, and, I always see the world as one of the earth. And wherever you come from, wherever you are, there is a space for you. You will always have your space, but we need to allow you to get this space, and we need to find a way to connect and to to reconnect again. So this is about my vision for the world in the next years, and I'm really hopeful. I'm really hopeful to see big
I'm
change
very hopeful
happening,
too.
and to see initiatives such as yours. That we see that people dedicate their time. This is your third time now, and you work on that. You're so passionate about it. It's amazing. So this is super important. And then when it comes to positive, I mean, we want to gather as many businesses as possible. We want to build as many bridges as possible with academics, governments, civil society. This is really our goal. So when we started positive, our goal was to reach 10,000 businesses by 2030. But I would say we even want to go beyond. We believe there is an opportunity to go beyond actually, and we want to make this happen. So, I mean, the next year will be critical for us, looking at how we grow, how we evolve. We are about to open our memberships now, so you're also looking at the interests and the response we get. But so far we've got amazing responses. I've said, as I've shared with you, and I believe that we have a bright future at Positive, but it's not that much about positive. It's about the bigger picture, being in service of people and planet once again. And what we do at Positive is to unleash the creativity, unleash the potential, unleash the abilities of people, making sure that everyone can be part of this discussion, can have
Yeah.
access to it, and can make the positive impact we are expecting to make if we want this change to
Yeah.
be happening.
I'm very grateful for you and your team, and I'm very grateful for the good message you have for the world to change it and get people to feel better in their lives. And it's just amazing that someone of this generation has this, passion to change things in the world. Do you have any last message? What will be your campaign message?
Yeah, I mean, I'm passionate about young people. I believe there is an amazing opportunity for us as young people to unite and to work together. But we shouldn't forget that the key to succeed is to partner, is to collaborate, is to listen, and is to talk, and it's to be heard. So I think that shouting will never be a solution. I think that
Yeah,
depicting the reality is important, but sharing positive solutions, positive narrative is for me the way to go. It's only by doing so that we'll make it. It's only by being together and sharing what we do in the field, what we concretely, apply in our daily life, will inspire others. So I'm really, behind the youth generation, and I have two younger brothers, and I want the future to be a bright one. So it's so important that we work together, that we partner. And something that is really important is never underestimate the power that you have between your hands, into your hands, and the change you can make. Because wherever you live in the world and wherever you are and whatever your experiences are, you are, and by being someone, you can make a change. And even if
yeah,
it's not about impacting the world, if you impact your community first, if you impact your brother, your sister, your partner, if you change their mind, if you help them understand these challenges we're facing, this is a win. This is a win. If everyone is doing that, we're gonna win together. So it's really about that. I'm really hopeful for the young generation to keep listening, radical collaboration, and a big vision, a big ambition, because we need it, and a lot of energy, a lot of love to each other, and yeah, having the love for our earth and for each other is so important. So we're gonna make it. We're gonna make it.
yeah, yeah. I'm very hopeful too, and I'm looking forward to also work with you more and together with my team. And we hope for a very good future with you and your team as well, and to learn from this community. Thank you so much for making time for today.
Thank you, Daniel.
So that's it for today's episode. Join Niels and his team at makeapositeimpact.co to join this amazing community of changemaker businesses to empower regenerative economy. Get interactive with us on our social media platforms or visit our website for more details. And do subscribe to this podcast on any podcast provider and join us this and every Sunday for new episode. See you on the next episode. Live green.